All right, well, let me talk a little bit about myself. My name is Angie McGough. I am a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner. I am the owner of Essential Infusions Plus out of Illinois, but we service all over the country. I'm super excited to be here today just to share some things I've learned over the past several years as I've been on this journey. I've been in healthcare over 20 years, worked in conventional medicine, but really trying to discover more about how to prevent some of the illnesses we see and all the issues that come with chronic illness, and really optimizing how we function and changing the way we age, because it's not about waiting for something to happen to you. It's rather taking advantage of what you have now and really optimizing everything to help you feel better. So let's get started. We're going to talk about fatigue. So this is a big thing, something I hear all the time in the clinic. People always, the top 3 things that I hear about is a lack of sleep, being tired all the time, and pain. Those are the big things, and then probably anxiety after that. But being tired all the time is definitely something I can totally relate to. As a nurse who's worked night shifts for greater than 20 years, I totally relate how that was. There were times when my kids were little where I would just put the baby gate up and I would lay across the floor, and I would put their snacks up within, on like a counter nearby, but not close enough where they could reach it, and just pray they wouldn't hit me in the head with a toy as I was sleeping on the ground while they were playing with all their toys and such. And that's how I would manage my life and my family's life when they were little, because being tired all the time is definitely a thing. I definitely had a lot of issues with this, but this is something I hear all the time, and I can look at someone's lab work anymore and really come up with some pretty good answers pretty quickly. So let's talk a little bit about this. So what is fatigue? Fatigue is persistent tiredness that isn't resolved with rest. And I know so many people suffer from this, to the point where it's impacting everything they do, all aspects of their life. They can't go a full day without a nap. They can't go out with their friends. They can't go on for a walk after dinner. They just can't function. And for some people, it is completely crippling, and just takes them out of the pictures for so many different things. So what we need to do is really understand the underlying causes of fatigue, and these are so often missed in traditional medicine. So let's talk a little bit about why they're missed and what they're missing here. So let's look at the numbers. 1 in 3 adults report feeling tired or fatigued most days. I'm pretty sure it's higher than that. 50% of healthcare workers experience burnout related fatigue. Now, this was published in 2021, which means it was actually probably written a little before that. So these are probably not fully accurate in comparison to the COVID issues that we have that has taken place over the last several years. 80% of shift workers report chronic sleep disruption and fatigue. So as a night shift worker and a nurse, I have such a heart for healthcare workers. So many times we just give, including we give of our sleep, and we give of our hormones, and we give of our time with our family. And it affects us in so many ways that we're not even aware of, honestly. And it can affect us in long run with chronic illnesses and issues, and puts us at higher risk for so many different things. And here we are thinking, well, someone's got to work the night shift, someone's got to take care of these people. When in reality, we have to really count the cost when it comes to that. Chronic fatigue affects up to 2.5 million Americans. But fatigue is not a symptom, not a diagnosis, and it's commonly dismissed as stress or aging, or you're just getting older, or you have a lot on your plate, whatever it may be. That's what it's related to. And I have to tell you, that's not accurate. It's often linked to deeper metabolic, hormonal, or lifestyle imbalances. And I'm going to say that is completely true for almost 100% of people. If they're suffering from fatigue, some kind of chronic issue, it's very often related to something else. Functional medicine, that's the type of medicine that actually looks upstream. We figure out why there is a problem. What is the problem? How can we help that? Okay. So common labs that offer clues. There's a lot of different labs that we look at on a regular basis that can offer clues as to why there is an issue. So often CBC, this is a very, very common lab that's done by every provider all the time. But if you're looking at the MCV and the MCH, so these are the size and color and shapes of the cells, that can tell you if they're not within that reference range, if they're too big or too little, or the cells are too dark or too light. This can this can tell us if there's an issue with B12 or iron, if there's not even necessarily anemia, but if there's an imbalance. Looking at an iron panel and specifically looking at ferritin can give us a big clue. So ferritin is our iron stores. That's how much iron is stored in our body for our body to use. And a ferritin of less than 50 can indicate a problem, that there's an issue. And I can't tell you how many females I see that are menstruating that have very low ferritin levels that no one's ever looked at before. And it's causing significant fatigue, inability to concentrate, focus, that type of thing. TSH, so when we're looking at your thyroid, we don't just look at the TSH, we also look at the numbers of the free T3 and free T4, which is the amount of hormone of T4 and T3 that's available for your body to use. And we also look at reverse T3, which I actually explain this as the brakes to the thyroid. So if that number is too high, it's pushing on the thyroid, not allowing it to function appropriately. And then we look at antibodies. So I have frequently diagnosed people with Hashimoto's that had no idea because their TSH is still within that reference range, but that doesn't mean there's not a problem going on. When you look at a complete thyroid panel, you get a much better picture and you can point to significant issues. B12 level, when you look at that, understanding that a level less than 500 can cause fatigue, just having a B12 deficiency. Vitamin D, this is huge in America. The average American's vitamin D level is somewhat in the low 20s. Below 30s considered deficient, but between 30 to 100 in the Western medicine world, they just say, well, that's normal. Your vitamin D is appropriate. But I'm going to tell you, if you don't get your vitamin D level up between 60 and 100, you're at risk for cancers, falls, fractures. It definitely affects your hormones and your energy level. So getting that level optimized is super important. And then cortisol, when you have a low level of cortisol in the morning, this is a pattern of chronic adrenal fatigue. Your body should respond with an increase in influx in this level in the mornings as you get prepared to manage the day. So there's lots of things we can look at. So talking about thyroid dysfunction, so symptoms of thyroid dysfunction, fatigue, cold sensitivity, and weight gain for a thyroid that's not working appropriately. But that subclinical hypothyroidism, when that TSH is in that normal range or that reference range, but that free T3 is not optimal, is often missed. And you'd have to look at every lab level to see what the reference range is. But typically I try to get that free T3 level somewhere in the top quartile of the range. That's where people feel best. Their hair grows back, their skin gets better, all of that. They're able to have normal bowel movements, all of that. And Hashimoto's, if you have an autoimmune thyroid issue, you'll have that fatigue, but your symptoms will fluctuate depending on whether or not you're in a flare or not. So it's definitely can affect you. So the ways to fix that is actually look at the levels, look at the full thyroid and see if there's an issue. And then support your thyroid with selenium, zinc, and vitamin D. So those are nutrients that are specifically important to help that T4 hormone turn into the T3 hormone that is actually active in your body and helps you to feel better, to manage your weight better, to have more energy, all of that. So if you're not getting enough of these nutrients, your body cannot make what it's supposed to make for your body to function well. And then always managing stress and blood sugar. This is something that I feel we do a very poor job of teaching people how to manage stress. So one thing that's really, really important is getting sufficient sleep, which for some people you lay down, you can't sleep. So really working on sleep with different things that we do, good sleep hygiene, not having a TV in the room, making sure the room is dark and cool, and that you're not eating before you go to bed or drinking before you go to bed. You're not looking at your screen for an hour before you go to bed. That light can really bother your brain. And then understanding that, like, getting up in the morning and getting into to sunlight as soon as possible, go sit by a window, go stand outside, helps your body prepare more melatonin for sleep in the evening. So really getting ready for bed starts first thing. Deep breaths, make sure you're breathing deeply and getting enough oxygen. So taking some time to really take those big deep breaths and let the stress kind of melt away. That initiates a parasympathetic nervous system response, which is your rest and digest nervous system response, and helps to get you out of that fight or flight. We are so bad as Americans You know, we have a minute, we're in that fight or flight. We just run, 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 and that's what we do. And then managing blood sugar. I think so many of us have issues with blood sugar, and I think our standard American diet is pretty ridiculous. It has been proven to promote insulin resistance, and we're seeing this in even children so much younger now. And it has been shown that if children are obese, about 87% of them will turn into obese adults. That means they're driving up their risk for cancer, for thyroid issues, for diabetes, heart attacks, all of that significantly when they have blood sugar problems as a child. And that's just because of standard American diet. Us as adults, we have issues with blood sugar. When I look at a lab panel, you know, that hemoglobin A1C, which is your average blood sugar over the past 3 months, does not give us a good picture of what your blood sugar is doing on a day-to-day basis, because that's just a snapshot of where it is average. But I don't know, are you spiking and then coming down pretty quickly? Are you having episodes where you're low in the middle of the night and having a hot flash and you think it's actually your hormones, when in reality you're having low blood sugar issues? I find that a lot. Really, the best way to get answers about your own body is to get a continuous glucose monitor and use that to track what you eat and how your blood sugar responds. We have a great system we use here at EIP where you can get the continuous glucose monitor, take a picture. AI will put all your macros and all your nutrient information into this app and combine it with that continuous glucose monitoring for a big picture of what's going on with you. So if you're interested in that, I'll come see us. We're happy to help you. Micronutrient deficiencies is a big reason for people to be fatigued. B12, folate, magnesium, iron, vitamin D, these are huge players when it comes to energy level and often affected by poor diet. Again, we're back to the diet. Other things to think about, absorption. So anyone who has a history of bariatric surgery or takes antacids regularly or is on some kind of PPI for acid reflux, this will affect how you're absorbing medication and micronutrients. One thing that puts shift workers at risk is that they live in this state of often just grazing, and they miss balanced meals, and they miss sunlight exposure, honestly. And that puts a big problem when it comes to vitamin D as well as just hormonal regulation. No, sorry. So fixes, making sure you're eating whole foods. And when I mean whole foods, I mean one ingredient foods. So actually foods that they're not changed at all. They're not processed. Leafy greens, organic organ meats, seafoods and nuts. If anyone has a good liver recipe that doesn't make it taste like liver, I would love to hear that. And supplements smartly. So everyone should be taking supplements based on where your nutrients are deficient. And that's one thing we do here at EIP is we look at your micronutrients and really give you directed personal recommendations based on what we see on lab work. All right. Sleep deprivation is another huge issue when it comes to energy. So REM is that time for your body, your brain to detox and to dump all of the trauma of the day. And it's time for your memory to rebuild. So poor sleep quality is actually worse than poor sleep quantity. And shift workers, man, we often wake up multiple times during the night and we just can't get back to sleep, or we have to respond to a phone call or a text. And as I explained before, melatonin is produced by sunlight. The earlier you get it in the day, the more you're going to produce melatonin. Night shift workers often have zero melatonin. Sorry. So how do we fix this? Again, we're going back to the blackout curtains, white noise, cool room, blue light blockers. Those are some specific supplements that can be very helpful when it comes to getting to sleep. GABA, mag glycinate, CBD, not necessarily the THC, but just CBD and endocannabinoid. Melatonin if needed, and I think if you're a night shifter, whether it helps you sleep or not, melatonin is also an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory and can be really, really necessary to help your immune system. So taking melatonin before you go to bed, whatever that is, can be really important. And then red light therapy in the morning helps reset that circadian rhythm. So again, red light therapy by getting the first dawn light, or if you have a red light. If you live in northern United States like I do, there are days we don't see any sunlight, especially in the winter. So you really have to make up for that. Diet and blood sugar imbalance is a huge issue. Okay, so sugar crashes equals energy crashes. So how many of you know after Thanksgiving, a lot of people go lay on the couch, fall asleep because they have that sugar crash, not just from the turkey, but from all the pie, right? All the pie that people ate. About 45 minutes to an hour later, after this huge spike in blood sugar, your blood sugar will come down very quickly, and that causes your body to say, hey, I don't have enough energy to work. Your brain will say that because glucose is the primary energy for brain, and you will just dump, you'll fall asleep. And this is especially bad for people who rely on vending machines, coffee, fast food, and go from energy drink to energy drink. Shift workers are very known for this. There's no place for people to go get real food in the middle of the night. The cafeteria is not open, and they just live from caffeine to caffeine. So you'll go and have a snack. If you ever walk around, have you ever worked in a hospital, you know there's food everywhere, right? Everyone has food. So you go from place to place, you eat your little snack there, and then an hour later you're feeling crappy. So what do you do to help you wake up? You either get like a high sugar energy drink, or you go find something else to eat. You eat to stay awake, and I highly recommend you don't do that. So how do we take care of this? So protein and fat at every single meal. Okay, fat has gotten such a bad name. You need fat, good fat, real butter, olive oil, MCT oil. You need good fat at every meal, a pretty good chunk. Get rid of the carbs. Eliminate refined carbs. Do it for 30 days and see how you feel. Get rid of the carbs. Focus every meal on protein and fat and hydration, and you're going to feel a lot better. So that requires prepping ahead. So hard-boiled eggs, meat sticks, fiber-rich veggies can be really filling and keep your blood sugar from dumping as well. So those are things to really consider as you move forward. Preparation and really making sure you have smart choices available to you. Dehydration. So a lot of people don't think about this, but dehydration can have a huge impact on your energy. Even 1% of dehydration reduces your brain function. And shift workers are often underhydrated or overconsume caffeine. I can't tell you I'm perfect at this, but keeping hydrated can help you with energy. I know it sounds crazy, but it really does work. So starting first thing in the morning, you lean over, you drink water. First thing in the morning, you've gone how many hours without water? You need to rehydrate right away. Do it with a little bit of Himalayan salt in there. You're gonna replenish those minerals that you lost throughout the night as well. And you're gonna start feeling a lot better before you get that cup of coffee. I know, coffee is amazing, it's great, but start with water. Start with water. So here's some fixes. Drink half your body weight in ounces of water, half your ideal body weight, right? Really hydrate well, and add trace minerals such as sea salt to your water. That can be really important. Not table salt, but you want the salt that's pink or has some color to it. It's got the minerals in it, okay? Now let's talk about mitochondrial dysfunction. So if you're unaware, mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells, and they are imperative for energy production, and they are damaged by toxins, poor diet, stress, and infection. So we really want to support them as much as possible. So different ways to help mitochondrial dysfunction. These supplements, CoQ10, PQQ, B complex, alpha lipoic acid, gentle detoxing such as sauna, sweating, and glutathione can be really, really important. Really avoiding the toxins that really can destroy them, the bad diet, that type of thing can be very helpful. Red light therapy can be super helpful when it comes to fatigue. So near infrared light boosts ATP production, and that's your energy. So you want more energy production, right? It has been shown in studies, actually scientifically, to improve energy and reduce inflammation. So this is great too. You have pain somewhere, you have acne, you have back pain, you have rheumatoid arthritis. Red light therapy is awesome for you. It's great for all cosmetic things that we do here at the clinic. We love red light therapy. I'm really using it for 5 to 15 minutes a day on your face or low back during your wake cycle can be really helpful. Let's talk about a patient I took care of, a 42-year-old female nurse, night shifter, complained of chronic fatigue, brain fog, but her doctor said she had normal labs. I said, you know what? Come here, let's take a look at your lab work. So when I did her lab work, we did show she had a low ferritin, those low iron stores. She didn't have a very good B12 number, and her reverse T3, remember those breaks for the thyroid were were high, and she had poor sleep. So we gave her some targeted supplementation to really help her sleep, replace that ferritin or the iron and the B12. We enriched her daily living with red light, and we helped with her diet, really helped her look at protein-rich breakfast after waking, and then helped improve her sleep hygiene. Within 3 weeks, she was feeling better. It was amazing how much better she was feeling. So where do you start with this? So the best way to do is to get a full lab panel review by a functional provider. So start, and then always start with lifestyle changes. Fix your food, get rid of the carbs, work on your sleep hygiene, where you're sleeping, how you're sleeping, drink enough water with the electrolytes, and fix your stress. Track your progress in a journal or app. And again, we have great resources for that. So if you're interested, you want a free 30-minute Burnout to Balance consult, bring your labs, let us get a custom energy panel for you. We're happy to talk to you a little bit about what our system looks at. Today only, we're doing a webinar special, so you can bring those labs to me, whatever labs you have, it doesn't matter how old they are, and I will go over them with you and point out things that I see and see if we can come up with an answer that maybe other people were missing. This is the link for that. If you're interested at all in our continuous glucose monitor, please let us know. We're happy to help you with that. And we're just so excited to have you here. So thank you so much. Great. You guys have a wonderful day.